So, let's get, whoops, I turned my camera off. Let's just get straight to it then. The first thing I want to cover today is the citation activity from last week. I just wanted to go over it. If you haven't done it by now, it goes as a 0, okay? Because I did ask you to complete it before now. So if you don't have it submitted by now, you're not going to get credit for it. But let's go over it. I have the key handy. I uploaded this key to you on Blackboard under the folder dedicated to the citation activity. So you should see it on Blackboard, the key to this. So as you guys know, I asked you to, I had this sheet of scrambled citations. Oh, what's wrong with my camera? But I had this sheet of scrambled citations. I asked you to put it in the correct order according to the Purdue Owl's website. Just a matter of piecing together the patterns. Right? I gave you all the information you needed. I just said put it in the right pattern, the way that they did it on the website. That website will assist you with any citation stuff you need. So it doesn't matter if you have to do it in MLA style or APA style, that site will work. That site is one reason why I didn't make you guys buy a textbook for this class. Because all that information that you could get in the textbooks available for free on that website. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to save you guys money, because it's available on the site. So let me share the screen then so that we can get to it. One moment. Okay, so you should see this Word document that I have put up here now. So this is going over the scrambled citation sheet that we did last week. So the first one is a journal article from a database. So remember in your bibliography that goes with your exploratory essay, I asked for mostly journal articles that came from the databases. If you don't have journal articles that come from the databases, you don't have good research. So I think I said 5 of the 8 needed to come from that. Well, this is what the second one here is. So anytime you have something like this, you have last name, first name of the author. The title of the author's article goes in quotation marks. The name of the journal, the Steinbeck Review. Then you list volume and issue number. So volume 10, issue number 1. The article was published in 2013. The article's page range in the periodical was 31 to 46. After that, you list the database that the article came from. So Project Muse is the name of the database in this case. Then the date that you accessed the article. Most of the time, you guys, whoever knows whenever they access the article, that's one of those kind of things where the further back you put it from the due date, the better you're going to look. Right? If you say accessed, and then on the day the paper's due, right, that's going to look bad. Right? So you can make shit up for the date that you accessed it. Right? Yeah, it's fun. It's funny, right? But you guys can kind of see my point. I always did whenever I had something due. So now this is the order everything goes in. If you guys remember, whenever you look something up on EBSCOhost, it tells you all this information. It tells you the name of the journal, volume number, issue number. At the very bottom of it, it says which database it comes from. If you click that Cite button on EBSCOhost, it'll spit it out for the most part correct up until this. After that, they give you a bunch of links and URLs and stuff like that. You don't need the links and URLs and all that stuff. All you got to do is put the name of the database, the date that you accessed the article. Something else I want to show you for whenever you guys do your works cited for your exploratory essays this week. There's a certain way that you can indent these to where it's always correct. I'm using a PC at the moment. It's how you get to this is a little different on Mac Microsoft Word. But on your second line of a citation, you can right-click, click Paragraph, and then to indent your lines correctly, you can click a hanging indent of 1/2 inch. Click OK. I already did it on this key, but it'll make sure that it indents all of your second and third lines correctly on your citations if you do it that way. I think the paragraph tab on Word on Mac is up in the toolbar here, rather than having to right click to get to it. You guys know how it is. They always make Word different on Mac just to tick people off. Right? I think that's the only reason why they make it different on there. So, but I don't want to see these crazy. Don't use the ruler to indent. That's just unnecessary hassle. Just right click, paragraph, hanging indent, 1/2 inch. Your lines will always be correct. I actually didn't learn that trick until I went to grad school. I went all the way up through my undergrad just using the ruler. So it saves you a lot of trouble if you just do it that way. So that's the journal article. This one was the book. It was a republished book. So I threw you a little bit of a curveball. So we have Von Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath. Notice that a longer work goes in italics. Okay, longer works go in italics. Shorter works, like a journal article, that goes in quotes. The longer works, like a novel or a movie, something like that, that goes in italics. Then the book originally came out in 1938. It's edited by Robert DeMott. But then we have Penguin Publisher is the company who published it, and they published the new edition in 2006. So that is, if you were just citing The Grapes of Wrath, the original one, you'd say John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath, Penguin, 1938, right? But because it's a new one, you do it this way. This next one is, I highly doubt that you guys will cite an entire book, considering we don't have a library at Southern, really. Now, if you were taking this same exact class with me through WVU, I would make you get a book for your projects. But we don't really have a library here. But you can. This third one is a chapter from a book. And I told you guys before when I showed you how to use the databases, lots of times you'll have books with chapters in them. I'm obviously not going to make you read an entire book, but if you found something from an ebook on the database, perhaps, maybe you found a chapter from it. So, like I said, book chapters are usually good sources because they're written for a general audience in mind. You know, they're not written for other experts. They're written for common readers. But so we have John Kant's, the article, his chapter title is Oedipus Rises, Mimesis and Allegory in No Country for Old Men. The larger book that article comes from is called From Novel to Film, No Country for Old Men. So that goes in italics. Then we have editors Linnea Chapman King et al. That et al stands for and the others. So in MLA style, if you have 3 or more authors, you can put that ETAL standing for and the others, just to sort of abbreviate it. Then this book came from the Scarecrow Press. It's published in 2009. Its page range 46 to 59. That's where it is in the book. So if you found an ebook on EBSCOhost, this is how you would cite it. A chapter from it. This next one is 3 or more authors. I put Miley Cyrus and Barack Obama as authors, right? But I did that just to demonstrate. I did that as a joke. They obviously didn't write this book together. But I did that as a joke on the sheet just to point out that you could put et al, right, and the others for 3 or more authors. And these are editors of the book. They're not authors, they're editors. So the Complete Poetry and Prose of John Milton, the Modern Library, is the publisher. 2007 is when it was published. If you have something with 2 authors, you put last name, first name, comma, and first name, last name. So you don't say Buchholz Robert and Key Newton. You put and Newton Key. So that's the standard format for 2 authors. Everything else is the same old kind of thing. This next one, though, pay special attention here, because I'm sure some of you will have website. I'm guessing most of you will have websites in your bibliography and in your works cited page. So if you have stuff from a website, this is how you cite it. Lots of times students will just copy and paste the URL in. It's not how you do it. Okay, so listen up. So if the title of the web page has an author, you list the author first. Sometimes a page on a website won't have an author, in which case you just leave it out. This article is called The Last of Us Review. So after this, you list the basic website that the article came from in italics. So this article came from IGN.com. Okay. So you have to list the basic site where it came from. You don't list the whole URL there. You just put the basic site it came from. So CNN.com, FoxNews.com, Bloomberg.com, whatever, HuffingtonPost.com, wherever you found something, you just list the basic website. After this, there's no publisher name for the website, but if the website has a publisher, you would list that there. Because there is no publisher, I put MP, standing for no publisher. After that, the date that it goes live on the website. So if you found the date that the article actually went live on the website, you put that here. So it went live on that website on the 5th of June, 2013. Again, if that information isn't available to you, you would put ND, N period D period, standing for no date. The date, I probably should put accessed here. The date that you accessed this website, And then at the very end, that's when you post the full URL at the very end of all that. So the reason why you got to give all this other stuff and not just a URL is sometimes URLs go dead after a while, or sometimes a URL will change. So in the event that it does, if somebody wants to access this article later, they could ideally find it with this first part of this citation. So that's why URL alone is not acceptable in your works cited.
I have a question.
Okay.
If it doesn't have, like, if the article doesn't have a publisher and doesn't have, like, a date or something on it, does that lower the credibility of your argument that you pulled from it, or does it affect it at all?
No, it doesn't affect it at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, if you think the article's credible, yeah, it doesn't affect it. Sometimes they just don't list that stuff. All right, so if they don't list it, just put no publisher, no date. That is a good question, but it shouldn't influence anything. Yeah, well, if you guys can mostly get all this stuff right, like I said, don't just plop a link down. If you can get most of this stuff right, I'll be satisfied. Okay. Used to be, you didn't even have to post a link. You just, in MLA, used to be you just did the first part, but they just put it back in a couple of years ago where you post a link again. Back in around 2016, it's when they changed the rules again, which, you know, I disagreed with that rule change. I don't think the link's needed, but they put it back in, so we shall follow the rules. So this is the key. Pretty much everything you'll need to cite in your bibliography and in your works cited page comes from this. So follow that. Okay, follow the models I gave you here. Like I said, everything you need is on this key. Give me one moment. I'm actually refreshing myself really quick on when I asked for all this work from you. The 10th. Okay, so it's due the 10th. But the bibliography is due in the next day or two. Okay, so whenever you finish your bibliographies up in the next day or two, make sure you polish them up using this key. But I also wanted to go over the APA format with you. So APA stands for American Psychological Association. So if you guys take psychology, sociology, even like hard science classes, use APA a lot. Really, the only time MLA is used is in English and speech, or if you take a foreign language class, which we don't offer at Southern, right? Which I think is crazy. They need to offer something, Spanish or something, right? But MLA is used in language classes. APA is used in pretty much everything else. So the general rule of thumb is, if you know how to cite in one style, so if you take English, we always teach you how to do it in MLA style. But the general rule of thumb is, if you know how to do it in one way, then you basically know how it goes, right? You just look up the pattern and then follow the pattern that they set out for you. Well, the pattern in APA style looks radically different on a works cited page. So knowing Southern as I do, they've probably put many of you first-time freshmen in general psychology or something like that this semester. They tend to do that. So if you guys have a paper due for that class, this is how you would cite your stuff in that class. You know, is anybody taking that class right now? Have they gone over how to do this with you? I'm just curious.
I took it as a senior in high school, and they went over it a bit, but I didn't learn about it until my very first semester, which was at a different college in another state.
Right. So did you learn how to do it in a class like that?
I know. It was my English professor then. He was really concerned with us learning like the technicalities of the formats and whatnot.
Right. Well, that's a good thing. Yeah, lots of times English teachers don't even worry about APA. They just say let them handle it. But I don't know it that well myself because I've never had to write in it. But I have helped people who write in it. So I've actually never written a paper in APA in my life, but I've read all kinds of other papers where people wrote in it, so I know a bit about it. So just taking this sheet for that.
There's sorry, this is a little bit late, but there's a book that we got that's called the Little Seagull Handbook. I think it's the second edition that goes over both formats and a whole lot of things like that.
Yeah, I use a book like that called Easy Writer for my WVU classes. But the reason why I don't use it here at Southern with you is all of us faculty have to agree to the same book. That's the way it works here. None of us can agree on anything. So that's why you don't have the book here. We have a choice as far as the books we want up there. But I didn't make you buy a book too because, like I said, everything's on that Purdue OWL website that I gave you. A little handbook like that is helpful.
I found it so interesting because it didn't just have that. It had like Chicago style and CSE style and all kinds of resources.
Yeah, Chicago style is mostly used by history majors. That's who mostly use Chicago style. The other ones, CSA and Harvard and all that, I don't know. I don't even know who uses all those. But MLA is mostly English. APA social sciences mostly. Chicago is history. We don't even really teach Chicago style. That's because not many people major in history these days. I guess you learn that one if you major in history. I was a history major, right, back in the day. So for this one, you have Steinbeck J. So you don't have to say John. You don't have to spell out the first name in APA. You just put J. I actually need to fix this key now that I look at it. My key is not even right. It doesn't look like. Hold on. I need to update this. Well, I'll just update it with you here. Now I have the key wrong in one sense, because in APA style, you do not capitalize anything except the first words. Okay, so that's The Grapes of Wrath is the name of the book, but you don't capitalize G and W like you would in MLA. Nothing's capitalized. So Robert DeMott is our editor. I think they still ask for the city where the publisher is housed. So Penguin Publishers is housed in New York City. So New York, Penguin, 2006. Okay. The name. So this next one, we have the same thing. So note here right after the author is the date that the thing was published. So in MLA, that goes way close to the end here. The APA, it goes right up front. So you have Jaeger J, 2013. This part's wrong. Let me fix it. If you don't capitalize any of this. This is one of the reasons why I think APA is silly. I hate how they don't capitalize this stuff. It drives me a little crazy. Let me just double check myself here. Might seem like I'm a little unprepared, but I'm really not. It's just because I don't know APA. I like the back of my hand. Just want to make sure I'm right, so I don't give you an incorrect key. Let's see. Okay, yeah. And so this is capitalized. So as you see, nothing's capitalized in the title. The name of the journal is still capitalized, though. I do like this change over MLA that they do. Rather than saying VOL in NO, right? They just assume that you know it's volume 10, no issue 1. So you just say 10 and 1 goes in parentheses, then 31 to 46. You don't have to put PP in this. You just put 31 to 46. And then you could say retrieved from the name of the database where you found it. So that's your basic journal article entry from APA. Then this next one, again, I just need to fix my capital. Well, this one's capitalized because it's the first letter. Nothing else is capitalized in the title. So this is the name of the note 2 from the journal article and from this. In a journal article in a book chapter, an MLA, that goes in quotation marks. The APA doesn't make you put it in quotation marks. That's another little slight difference. But you have you say the book chapter. The name of the larger book comes from King, Wallach, and Welsh. A novel, a film, No Country for Old Men, page 46 to 59. And then your publisher, the Scarecrow Press. This next one, remember above I said I put Miley Cyrus and Barack Obama just to show you in MLA that you don't have to list all the authors. You can put ETAL. Well, for this one, for APA, it doesn't really matter how many authors there are. You have to list every one of them. So it doesn't matter if there's like 10 authors. You have to list all 10 in your entry. So note that I did that here, right? That book came out in 2007. Then the rest of it's pretty straightforward. But again, if you use APA for a class, don't ever abbreviate it. You have to list every one of them. This next one's pretty straightforward too, but unlike MLA, where you put last name, first name, you put last name or first name, last name for your second author. You just stick to last name, first name in this method. The website in APA is actually much simpler than it is in MLA. You just put the author, the date it was published, the name of, again, I need to fix my capitalizations, but the name of the article, and then just say retrieved from, and then just copy paste the link. You don't have to put the name of the whole website it come from, NP, ND. So this is a case where APA is actually much simpler than MLA. Let me fix this too. So as you see, major differences between the two styles. But this sheet should help you even in the future, as far as even like whenever you have to write a paper for psychology or sociology or something like that. So this key should help you with both. Now that I've fixed my own key for capitalizations, which I had wrong. Let me actually save this. Okay. So again, it's no fun just listening to me saying you put your period here, you put your comma here. All right, I tried to get you guys to do it yourself just to show you how it works before I gave you the key, right? Because you learn this stuff by doing it. The more and more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. Some of you guys might have to do this 100 more times in the future after this semester, right? Especially if you plan to go to get a 4-year degree. Some of you might not ever have to do this again once you get past your basic classes. But either way you need to know how to do this. Okay, so this is, of all the stuff I teach in this class, this is probably the most useful thing you're going to need to know for all your other classes. So I'm looking at the chat thread really quick. Yeah, some of those were private questions. I'll answer them here in a moment once class is over. So again, remember that your Works Cited, your bibliography page is due by tomorrow. Okay, so use that key to make sure your citations are correct. And sometime in the next day or two. You still have a whole week until the paper's due. So the good news is once you do that bibliography, the paper should probably be pretty easy to write itself, because the bibliography is almost like a mini paper. So let me open the floor really quick. Actually don't know if it is a good idea to tell you the truth about introducing paper 4 today. I might just wait to introduce it next week. I think that will just confuse you you guys got a lot on your mind as it is. I think it's just going to throw you off to talk about paper 4 today. All right, but questions, comments, concerns. What can I answer about the papers? about the bibliography, about the exploratory essay, what can I answer for you right now? This is we didn't meet last week because I wanted you to work on this citation stuff, right? So it's been 2 weeks since we talked paper. So this is a good time for refreshing ourselves. Where do you post the essay? Same as always. You're going to post it on Blackboard. Submit essays here. I actually just posted the Dropbox right before class. I don't think I have put the bibliography Dropbox up. Yeah, the bibliography Dropbox is up. Well, let me double check. I sometimes get my classes mixed up on here. Nope, I need to create the bibliography Dropbox for you too. So I'm going to do that right now. I posted it under submit essays here, and I'm also going to post a link to the Dropbox in the exploratory essay module. So you should be able to access it 2 different ways. Someone asked me how many sources for the bibliography. Remember, it's 8 sources is what I'm asking for. 5 of them should come from the databases. So 5 of them should be professional and come from the databases, or from a site like Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, or from, if you find a professional article on Google Scholar, that would count towards your 5. But 5 should come from professional sources. 3, I give you room for 3 to come from the general web. So remember that you access, I hope you've been accessing stuff by now, otherwise you're going to have a long day or 2 ahead of you. All right, but you access the stuff through My Southern. Right, as soon as you log on to My Southern, remember the link to the library stuff is on there as soon as you log in. So that's how you get to the databases again. If you all of our class sessions are up on Blackboard. So if you don't remember how to do that, you can go back and watch the library tutorial video again if you need to. Okay. But that was up from 2 or 3 weeks ago whenever we covered that. So like I said, hopefully you've done your research by now. If not, good luck. So the bibliography is due by tomorrow. Okay, by tomorrow, if you remember. So get that in by then. And I'm going to try to read the way that I'm going to do the bibliography. I think I said, let me go back and read my prompt again. The way that I'm going to count the bibliography is I'm mostly going to count it as a very heavy informal writing grade. But to submit that early. But it is good. You will include the full bibliography with your paper next week. So whenever you submit the exploratory essay next week, you'll have your 4 or 5 pages for that, plus maybe like 2 or 3 more pages for your bibliography. So that bibliography won't count towards your page total for your exploratory essay, but you will tack the whole thing on to the end of that as well. So I'm asking you to submit the bibliography early so that I I'm not going to grade them that intensively, but I will take a look at them. I can send you an email and say, okay, maybe you need to pick it up here. Maybe you're not doing enough research on professional databases. Maybe you're looking too much in one place. So I can give you some early feedback about a week before your paper's due, saying, hey, you might want to rethink some of this. So that's why I'm asking for your bibliography early. I'm going to count it as a very heavily weighed homework grade, just to make sure you're checking out. So again, if you do it, you cite your sources right, you do this, you summarize them all, evaluate how they're useful to you. That's what a bibliography is. So I showed you a week or two. Let me just review again what a bibliography looks like for you, in case you need some review on that. Give me one moment, I'll pull one up. Again, this is what an annotated bibliography looks like again, in case 2 weeks ago is too long back to remember. Right, so you you do your citation. So as you see, this is like a website entry citation. The name of this page is Animal Biotechnologies. GeneticsandSociety.org is where it came from. The publisher is the Center for Genetics and Society. This went live on the website in 2018. Then your URL. Citation followed by summary. And then a sentence or two at the end demonstrating how useful it is for your project. So this is a journal article entry. This is another website. This is a journal article that was found on something like Google Scholar. Okay. So note that in a bibliography, for your 8 entries, you go in alphabetical order. So you start with A, whichever source starts earliest in the alphabet. You go in descending order, alphabetical order on down. So it starts with A and ends with Z's. Right? That's how following alphabetical order works. So all it is a citation followed by a summary, followed by a sentence or two at the end explaining its usefulness to you. And you're doing 8 of those entries. So I can actually push this due date back a little bit for you. It doesn't have to be due tomorrow. I'm still a little behind on a lot of stuff myself. So how about this? Get this bibliography into me by Friday of this week, and I'll take a look at them this weekend for you. Then I'll push the actual paper 3 deadline back to the following Friday. Okay, so bibliography can be due on the 6th. Exploratory essay is going to be due on the 13th. And then the 4th and final paper will be due on the 4th of December. Okay, so that's kind of that'll be our deadlines that we will stick to here on out. So in case you've procrastinated and haven't done any research and stuff yet, that should hopefully give some of you some breathing room. I don't want to see anybody rush to do research. You need to take your time. You need to do some thorough searches, find some good stuff. If you rush to do it, you're gonna cite the first 8 things you see. Right? That's not what I want you to do. I want you to find all good stuff. So now that I've given you some of you some breathing room, take advantage of it. Okay. So by the end of the week, bibliography, and then next week, that'll be when you work on your exploratory essays and get ready to submit those. And also, I should be getting your paper 2s back to you this week as well. They're on my agenda for this week. So I'm going to be working on getting those back, the August Tannen papers. So you should be getting those back sometime soon as well. Okay, so look for those in the coming days. So other questions, comments, concerns about exploratory essays, about bibliographies? Remember, I approved your topics. I think some of you might have done the topic pitch late. I might not have gotten back to some of you. I'm going to check again after class, make sure that I've gotten back to everybody that I need to. But if you have your topic approved, then there should not be a reason why you can't proceed with your research. Yeah, Dylan said, I haven't approved yours, so I'll look right after class. Okay. Like I said, I checked it once and didn't check it again, I don't think, so I'm going to look again. All right, anything else that I can address as far as review goes? Again, if there's anything that's confusing to you guys, you have those videos from our previous classes. You'll have a video for today again. You know, so you have, as far as exploratory essays go, which is the main beef of the third paper, you have my videos on that. You have the sample exploratory essays that I gave you, that I asked you to do a discussion post about. So you have that too. So once you move past the bibliography, you should be able to segue over into writing the actual essay fairly easily. Anything else? Like I said, today is just a review day as far as I'm concerned. Anything else you need me to review with you? No, if not, then that should be all that we need to talk about for today. Okay. So again, if I haven't got back to you on the topics, I'm going to do so. Look out for that today. Okay. So otherwise, proceed as planned. So everyone, you're free to go if you so choose. So we will call it at that. So let me know this week if you need my help. I will be more than willing to schedule an appointment with you where we can do a Zoom, so that I can even help you with research or whatever if you need my help. So I'll be more than happy to do a private one-on-one Zoom with you guys this week if you need my help. So even if you want me to read over something for you, we can Zoom. Okay, so the only thing I will say is I'm not going to give you feedback over email, right? Because that's just too much work on top of everything else I have to do. But I will have an actual conversation with you about your drafts and stuff. So if you want to call me on the phone, if you want to Zoom, that's just much easier for me to give you early feedback than it is, to type out a 2-page email. So if you want some early feedback, hit me up this week and I'll be happy to help. Okay. I'm here for you. I know that's something that doesn't seem that way in this semester of Zoom. But if you guys were actually taking this class with me, we would all be up here in Salisville taking this class together. Right? So I am here for you. Don't forget that. That's my job. So take advantage of me even as a resource. But I'll let you guys go. Again, if any of you need help with your schedules or something like that too, I'll be happy to help you with that this week. Just let me know. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. I don't put people in classes they don't need and all that stuff. So even if you want my help with that, let me know. But otherwise, adios, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good day.
Real quick, Charity, before you go, you asked me about paper 2. So
Yeah. As you know, I've had those things